Hey there. What's up? What's up? Confusion reigns on Wall Street, reigns in the economy. I mean, people are so confused. I'll clear a little bit of it up for you. Doesn't mean things get better or worse, but I think if you understand what's going on now, and I like to avoid the wonkiness and get into just the plain English, I think it'll help you stick with your investments. I think it'll help you make your plans better. I think it'll help you pick and choose what's a priority as far as your next move in terms of money and living and all these good things. 145% tariff on Chinese goods. We import over $400 billion worth of Chinese goods. We export about $200 billion to China. So $400 billion, that is it's like a $600 billion tariff. That is really tough to swallow. That's so inflationary. Uh, but who knows? That could get negotiated away, and it's all a negotiation, right? So let's see what happens. Let's take a quick gander at the intro. We're going to talk some real common sense here, and I hope you stick around while you're watching. Ask your questions in the comments, whether if you're watching in the live stream or the replay. Give it a thumbs up. It'll help spread the good word about the work we're doing here. Listen, we're just calling balls and strikes. We're giving it to you straight. This is not a political show. But some people feel if you don't say something positive, that's okay. I'm calling balls and strikes. I'm calling the way I see it. Doesn't matter who the president is or who's in power. When I see something that I think is something you need to know about or something that's damaging or something that's plain old dumb, we're going to talk about that. I will point it out. Here we go. All right, thanks for joining me. My name is Mitch. I'm with the wealth management firm Client First Strategy. Check us out, clientfirststrategy.com. And if you have any questions, ask me in the comments. I see some people watching. If you don't mind, just tap that little like button. I get to see who it is, and I really appreciate it. Plus, when you tap that button, your other connections see it, and it spreads the good word. If you want to make a comment or you want to ask me something, hit me in the comments. You want to talk privately, we can do that too. I know not everybody is someone who wants to be in the comments. All right. Yesterday, I posed the question, did Trump have a plan? Did he plan all along on last minute abandoning tariffs, giving a 90-day extension? Or did he capitulate? Yesterday I posited that he capitulated. Something caused him to fold. It was the bond market. That's what we talked about yesterday. It was an implosion of the economy. I've been saying this now for weeks. It's not just like I'm picking this up from yesterday from something I read. I've been saying this all last week. And I said it in the media as well, in Newsday, News 12, and a few other places, that the tariffs as they stood, as they were expected to hit, they did hit midnight on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. That would have sent us into a deep recession immediately. And the bond market showed you that. Credit dried up overnight. Lending standards got tight. Bond dealers had no place they couldn't absorb any more inventory. Auction of our treasury bonds, because that's how we borrow, went pretty poorly. The 30-year hit 5%. The 10-year jumped to 4.5%. And it looked like literally a collapse in the bond market. When that happens, that means the economy is grinding to a halt. Lending stops, payroll stops, everything stops. And then you'd need some kind of gigantic intervention program from the Fed, of which nobody wants to do. I don't think the Fed could get away with another couple of $1 trillion of quantitative easing and all the programs that they did during the pandemic and during the Great Recession. We had like 14, 15 years of massive Fed intervention. And, we also had massive fiscal intervention under Obama, under Biden, under Trump again. The debt keeps going up. So, I mean, imagine imagine how our economy would have been if we didn't have rising debt. See, rising government debt actually means a stronger economy up to a point. Looks like we could be getting to that point now. And there's a lot of ways to tackle this: slow spending down, pay down debt. The U.S. doesn't have to eliminate its deficit, its national debt, $36 trillion. It doesn't have to get rid of it. It just has to show some discipline that it's not letting the debt grow the way it was before, or maybe reducing it just a tiny bit. Is all the injection of discipline uh, that the market wants to see, and we'll be good. Just not asking for too much, but the money has to come from somewhere. So when you talk about spending less money, somebody's going to be upset, and it's just the way it is. Uh, so the bond market signaled that. From what we hear, Secretary Bessent said he could have resigned from the administration had Trump not walked back his tariffs. Elon Musk was very vocal against the tariffs on Twitter or X and elsewhere. Langone, Ken Griffin, the giant hedge fund manager, these are multi-billion, super duper mega donors to Republicans. Ackerman, again, Elon Musk, they were screaming about this. Don't do this. This is a really bad idea. Musk went as far as calling Peter Navarro, dumber than a dumber than a sack of bricks, and then he apologized to bricks for insulting them. So it's very colorful, salty, very colorful, salty language. I don't think it's becoming on any administration to have public infighting, but it's a little out of control. I think it's a bad thing for any administration. So my point was also with tariffs that Trump put himself into a box because once you shoot your nuclear wad, there's really nothing you could do after that. And that's what President Trump did. He basically shot a nuclear weapon on the world with, tariff nuclear weapon. I'm just trying to use the analogy here. And there was nothing else anybody could do. He couldn't do anything else except for just sit back and wait for other countries to come and negotiate. Hassett, I forget his name, Michael Hassett, Trump's trade representative, he said that maybe 20 countries are talking to us. It wasn't like 70 countries the way the administration said the day before. And this is part of the problem. Like, why does it have to be exaggerated? And this is causing uncertainty. This is like someone's just, oh, Mitch, you're bashing Trump again. No, this is BS. You give us real details. Don't give us salesmanship and puffery and say it's 70 countries if it's not. Show me the names. I haven't seen the names of these countries. Well, you always hear big numbers, but you got to back them up. And I think what happened is Trump put himself into a box, and he put himself into a box. He said, "Listen, now I need somebody to come and negotiate with me." But no one was coming to negotiate with him, so he had to cut everything down to just a blanket 10% tariff, which is still quadruple the global tariff that countries were charging us before. So this is still the highest tariff since the 1930s. But the crazy thing is the tariff on Chinese goods is 145%. So if we import like let's say $450 billion of Chinese goods, and we export $200 billion, but 450 billion, that's like 600 billion plus of tariffs. It effectively shuts down trade with China. Now, I'm not a China fan at all. Nothing against Chinese people, but China it's about as sneaky of an adversary as we get. They're not rooting for us, but they have big problems, and I really mean that. They have a demographic bomb about to hit. Their population is shrinking rapidly. That's a story for another day, but you could go look that up. Demographics and China and what's happening there. They've got more people over the age of 50 now than under 50. It's just a terrible way for a society to basically start to disappear. But aside from that, you know, it's one thing to charge China high tariffs, but we don't have anywhere else to go for the goods that we get from them. It's not like we're going to just it's not like we're just going to magically put up factories in the United States to make electronics and all the other things that we import from China. It takes years and years and years to do that. And if you put up a lot of factories at the same time, the building materials are expensive, the labor is expensive. There'll be shortages of everything: building materials, labor, machinery, everything, copper wire, you name it. And we don't have the energy infrastructure yet. We have to build it out, and that'll take a decade to 20 years to do. So, all, so all we're doing really is we're shooting ourselves in the foot because we're the ones who are paying the tariff. Okay, and the tariff. So that's the bottom line. We're paying a huge tariff. A tariff is a tax. Someone could say, "Well, why do you call a tariff a tax?" Let me explain something. If there's a tariff on goods coming into the country, the importer, okay, it could be Walmart, it could be whoever the importer is of the goods, they have to pay that tariff at the port of entry. So if they paid $100 for a box, and now they have to pay $245 for the box, where is Walmart going to make up the difference? They're going to charge it back to their customers, right? Now, where's that tariff going? The tariff is collected by who? The U.S. government. It goes into the Treasury, just like taxes. So effectively, what tariffs do is, please listen to me on this. What tariffs do is they take money from the private sector and they give it to the government. Now, if you're an anti-tax person or you want low taxes, or if you believe that the private sector spends more efficiently than the government, then you should be furious with taxes. I'm sorry, with tariffs. You should be furious with then you should be furious with tariffs. Because tariffs are taking money from the private sector, corporations, and in turn their customers, that's us, that's you and me, and the money goes to the government, to the Treasury Department. If that's not a tax, then I don't know what is a tax, but that is the definition of how taxes work. You take from the private sector, you give to the government sector. And if you believe in big government, then big tariffs are probably your way to go. If you believe in small government, then taxes, I'm sorry. If you believe in small government, then tariffs are not the way to go. And this is the situation why people don't understand what's going on, because the Trump administration was expected to be very pro-business, pro-private sector. Tariffs are anything but pro-private sector, and they are very pro-government. And that, I think, is the thing. Now, maybe if we did a tax of 10% on China also, it would be absorbable. Americans would pay a little bit more money, but the government would collect a little bit more money. Maybe we could get some kind of balance, but make no mistake. The 10% tariffs across the board on every country is a tax. It's paid by you, the American consumer, and it goes to the government. Except if you make under $200,000 a year, you pay a much greater percentage of your income on essentials and discretionary items. So it hurts people who make 50,000, 80,000, 100,000. It hurts everybody who makes $1 million too, but not as much. That's why the tariffs are regressive. All right, so now that you understand that, let's talk about the economy. Every business, Amazon sellers are freaking out because the costs are about to go up, and they're terrified to pass those costs along to customers because customers might not buy. They might reduce consumption, and they probably will. Think about it. If you're paying more money for a car, for everything you possibly could buy, I mean, you know where tires are made. Tires are made in China. Just about everything you buy has some kind of Chinese component. Even things that are made in the USA have components from China. Like Tesla vehicles, for example, have batteries from China. So it infiltrates everything. And that's why it's so tough. So if you're paying more for things, what are you going to cut back on? Because that's the choice. As it is, wages haven't kept up historically with inflation. So now your wages go less further. They don't go as far when there's inflation. So add more inflation, the wages go less. They don't go as far. Inflation figures came out today lower than expected, and that's a good thing. But the reason why nobody's paying attention to it is because they expect as the tariffs kick in, and there's lots of exceptions, things that are in transit right now aren't going to be taxed until probably beginning of May. So the taxes haven't really kicked in yet. I'm sorry, the tariffs haven't really kicked in yet, and that'll come soon. So that's why everybody's taking a look at today's inflation numbers and last week's employment numbers, which were okay. Nobody's paying attention to that because they expect pretty substantial deterioration in economic stats in the months to come. I wouldn't be surprised if President Trump gets some kind of deal going, some kind of negotiation with China, and that helps. I wouldn't be surprised because he did it with the rest of the countries. Started with a big tariff and then lowered it. We had a relief rally. I'm not so much getting into the stock market today. We had a huge day yesterday. We gave back, I'm going to say, anywhere from 40 to 50% of the rally. But if you take the rally of yesterday and today, combine it, it's still a pretty big rally. And there wasn't follow through to the upside, but we sure as heck didn't give it all back either. So I'm not knocking the rally. I'm in the market. I like when the market goes up long term. I personally, it doesn't really bother me what happens over the short term. My clients who are in the position in life where they're taking money out of their accounts to pay for their bills, that money's already been set aside in cash a long time ago. So this is not really changing the equation for them. And it shouldn't change the equation for you. The VIX shot up to 40. When you see the VIX shoot up to 40, 45, that's when things start to get dicey, get scary. And at about 50, 60 is when we start to see a snapback rally, which is exactly what happened yesterday, by the way. A lot of things came into play at the same time yesterday, which contributed to a massive stock market rally. We're still way off from the highs. Yesterday helped recover some of it. Today we gave some of that back. Many feel we are going into recession, tariffs or no tariffs at this point, and the damage is done, and the United States is no longer a valuable trading partner like it used to be. I think our position in the world is diminished. I'm 57. I'll be 58 soon. So probably for the rest of my life that lasts. But we will see. But it doesn't mean business is bad and stocks. I posted something on LinkedIn. I hope you take a look at it about how this whole thing works with recessions and why the market always recovers after a recession. With that, it means that every recession, companies learn how to do more with less. They adopt more technology. They figure out how to cut expenses, cut labor. They grow their operating leverage. And when you start to come out of a recession, their earnings grow quickly because they have this high operating leverage from cutting all their expenses and adopting new technology. And all of a sudden, earnings come in, they go up, and the stocks go up, and the stocks hit new highs. This is what happens in every single recovery, by the way, after a recession. So you should know about that. Sectors did poorly today. The only sector that was up today was consumer staples, which is what you would expect in an economic slowdown or heading into a slowdown. Typically, consumer staples, companies that make toothpaste, toilet paper, things you need, and utilities typically hold up better, and industrials, technology, and building materials typically get hit the hardest. And that was certainly the case today. So as far as the economy goes, I don't have a crystal ball. Slowdown, recession, I think a lot of people are spending a lot of time trying to figure this out. I think you're better off trying to make yourself bulletproof, learn artificial intelligence, learn new skills, make sure you have the energy to show up to work every day and, do your job fully and completely. Focus on your customers, focus on your customers' needs, making them happy. Those are the things that you could do in any environment, whether if you have a recession or not. Jerry, I see you out there. Thank you, buddy, for the thumbs up. All right. So I appreciate your time today. I've got to get to a farewell party for a friend of mine who's moving out of the region. So it's Thursday. Unless something major happens in the market tomorrow, I won't be doing the live stream. I typically skip Fridays. But if you want to talk more about this in depth, give me a call. I'd love to chat it up with you. All right. Thanks so much. Have a good night.